And welcome to the December 1st, 2021 legislative session of the Penfield Town Board. I'll officially call this meeting to order. I'll ask everyone in the auditorium to please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Draw.
Here.
Cole.
Here.
LaFountain.
Present.
Moore is absent. Ockenden.
Here. All right. Thank you. We'll begin with communications and announcements this evening, and I'll recognize the town clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I had the pleasure of attending two events this week. The first was our 8th annual menorah lighting event at Shuffleburger Park in the Four Corners of Penfield. Many community members attended, along with Supervisor LaFountain, Councilwoman Draw, Councilwoman Cole, incoming Supervisor Marie Cinti, and Amy Cruikshank from our town staff. We lit the menorah, sang Hanukkah songs, and Rabbi Yitzhak Hein from the Pittsburgh Chabad brought along donuts, latkes, menorahs, and gifts for the community, and fun was had by all. And happy fourth night of Hanukkah for everyone who is celebrating. The second event I attended was held yesterday afternoon at the Shepherd Home, Penfield's Comfort Care Facility, located on 5 Mile Line Road. The Ukrainian Federal Credit Union Chief Financial Officer, Roman Omasinski, presented a $10,000 grant check to Executive Director of the Shepherd Home, Jennifer Modsel. The Ukrainian Federal Credit Union's philosophy is to help communities and nonprofit organizations however possible. This grant opportunity was for those nonprofit organizations adversely impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. A gift of any value, monetary or otherwise, makes a positive impact on our nonprofits, and this will provide some much-needed relief during this uncertain time. On behalf of the town supervisor, town board, and Shepherd Home, we thank the Ukrainian Federal Credit Union for its endeavors. And my last announcement is also about the Shepherd Home. Please join us at the Shepherd Home the evening of December 13th for our Wings of Light Luminaria open house. Honor and remember all the angels in your life, past and present, and help light up a long winter's night. Come enjoy the comfort of the luminaries, a warm fire, soft music, hot cocoa, and a sweet treat. Wings of Light luminaries are $10 each and will be personalized with the name of your loved one. They may be purchased online from now until Friday, December 11th. The luminaries will be lit and on display in front of the Shepherd Home on Monday, December 13th from 5 to 7 p.m. Luminaria may be purchased online on the Shepherd Home website at www.shepherdhome.org. You can also call them at 381-0890 to place an order. And that is it for today.
Right. Thank you. Councilperson Draw.
No announcements, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you.
Councilperson Ockenden.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I do have one item for tonight. We'll cover that under communications.
Please.
So tonight I'm presenting into the record a proclamation recognizing this past Saturday, which was Small Business Saturday. Unfortunately, we had a holiday last week. We weren't able to present this at last week's meeting. So tonight I'd like to read this into the record. I know many of our Penfield Business Chamber members participated in the day, and we hope they had a successful day this past Saturday. Small Business Saturday, November 27th, 2021, whereas the town of Penfield, New York recognizes the importance of local small businesses and the important contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 31.7 million small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. They're responsible for 65.1% of net new jobs created from 2000 to 2019. And whereas small businesses employ 47.1% of the employees in the private sector in the U.S., 88% of U.S. consumers feel a personal commitment to support small businesses in the wake of the pandemic. And 92% of small business owners have pivoted the way they do business to stay open during the pandemic. And whereas residents benefit from easy access to Penfield's business districts and thriving farm markets throughout the year and holidays. And whereas the town of Penfield supports local businesses that create jobs, boosts our local economy, and preserve our community. And the town is committed to providing entrepreneurs and small business owners the support they need to thrive and grow through the Office of Business Development and business-friendly streamlined zoning procedures. And whereas public and private organizations from across the nation, including the Penfield Business Chamber, have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. And now therefore be it resolved that I, Tony LaFountain, Supervisor of the Town of Penfield, New York, do hereby proclaim Saturday, November 27th, 2021, as Small Business Saturday in the Town of Penfield, and urge our residents to support small businesses, merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year, because healthy businesses make a healthy community for all. This was dated November 22nd, 2021, and signed by R. Anthony LaFountain, Supervisor.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Ackerman. Anything else, sir?
That's it.
All right. Councilperson Gall?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, happy December. Today's December 1st, and so the holiday activities will be taking place. In the Penfield Recreation Department, they have the Santa's Winter Olympics Christmas Blast. And the town of Penfield and the Browncroft Community Church are collaborating to present Santa's Winter Olympics and Christmas Blast on Saturday, December 11th, from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. to participate in fun activities and celebrate the holiday season. The activities will include Santa's Winter Olympic Games, in which families can compete against each other in various zany events such as match-up, gift relay, jingle bell guess, wreath toss, and much more. There's cookie decorating and crafts, and there's mechanical reindeer rides and horse-drawn wagon rides. U of R Yellow Jackets a cappella group will perform. There will be hot cocoa, music, and food trucks. Santa and Mrs. Claus will also be there. This event is free and open to the public, and participants are asked to bring non-perishable donations for the Penfield Ecumenical Food Shelf. And I just want to also mention that December 13th is the first day to register for the new classes coming up in the winter and spring. But please put the Winter Olympics, especially if you have families, to participate on December 11th. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on. The next item is public participation. You can do that one of three ways. If you're here in the auditorium, you can address the board on any matter. You can log in at penfield.org, or you can call 340-8771. And I'll recognize our clerk. Has anyone signed up to speak here this evening?
Yes, Thomas Wesley.
Right. Tom, welcome. If you would take one of these two tables, whatever you're comfortable with. And once you're seated, if you're comfortable with removing your mask, you may do so. If you'd like to leave it on, that's your prerogative as well, sir.
Relish the opportunity.
All right, not a problem.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for giving me the time to speak to you, and I'll keep it very brief. I've spent a majority of my career in your seats as a volunteer on several boards, so I know what it's like to listen to people come in and talk about issues in their community. Mine is an agenda item that you're going to be discussing later this morning. But what I'd like to do is kind of give you a little more background. I'm not sure how much information you have from discussions that you've had regarding the lawsuit that I was forced to file. So I'd like to walk through a very brief timeline of the events that happened and how we got to this point. First of all, I'm a new member to this community. I bought a home in Penfield, in the town of Penfield, property tax-wise, on November 1st of 2019. Lived in an apartment for a few years after many years in a big home out in the Wayne County districts, and decided this was where I wanted to spend the rest of my life. So I found the home, bought it, and closed on November 1st of 2019. On April 22nd of 2020, your tax receiver, Ms. Lysak, got a memo sent to an escrow agent concerning a duplicate payment. I wasn't involved in that, but this is the research I've been able to accomplish. Regarding the duplicate payment, she wanted to eliminate the middleman, according to her words, and get the money directly into the owner's hands. Under the auspices of the COVID, money being tight in a lot of communities and for a lot of families, that was her goal, was to get the money into the hands immediately. And I'm not sure if that bypassed proper process and protocol, but whatever, that was her intent, and I have no issue with her doing that. Unfortunately, she identified the wrong property owners. She indicated that it was a fault of an external agency which provides the town with a report that indicates what properties have provided duplicate payments to the town. That caught me a little off guard, but that's okay. If an external agency is doing it, that's fine. But it also included an incorrect sale date. It indicated that the town, or that the property was transferred on January 10th, not November 1st. So that gave me a little bit of cause too. And the other thing that concerned me was on the document there was a whiteout where the name appeared for who the payment was for. I expected my name to be there, but it had been whited out and replaced by the previous owners. So again, this wasn't information I had at the time, but this is what I found later. So apparently the payment, and I'm assuming the payment was sent out to the wrong party, because the next information I got, which alerted me to the issue itself, was on October 26th of 2020, when I received a notice from my escrow agent that my escrow account was in arrears to the tune of $5,503. Needless to say, I was a little bit shocked by that. So I did my own research. I contacted my escrow agent, my closing attorneys, and the Penfield tax receiver. It was at that point, on October 27th, that I was now starting to knock on doors and make phone calls to find out how could my escrow account have been that far in arrears. So after contacting Ms. Lezik, she emailed the previous owner and my attorney on November 10th, after she had secured information from the mortgage company to make sure the information she had was going to be correct. She contacted the previous owner as well as my attorney and indicated that a duplicate payment report that had been provided by an external company had misidentified the payment provider. In there, she admitted the mistake, said that the money should not have been refunded to them, and that the payment had in fact gone to the wrong party. So that was on November 10th of 2020, okay? A little over a year ago. On November 12th, I was forced to do some finagling to fund the escrow shortage, which had to be done before December 1st. So I was put in a position where my money had been given to somebody else, and that I had to come up with the shortfall on my own. As a retiree on a fixed income, that amount of money is not in my checking account. So I had to take actions to make sure that that balance was fully funded, which I did. I proceeded to try to contact town supervisor, and I think you'll recall I had several phone calls into you and several emails, copies of which I've kept. Didn't hear back. So on January of 27th of this year, I filed a notice of claim and indicated that the town attorney, our supervisor, and tax receiver were all notified of that. On so from January 27th, when I filed a notice of claim, I expected my attorney to keep up with things and, it would slowly be resolved. Since the issue had been recognized, it would be a simple process. You were notified legally that there was a payment due. The situation was admitted by the receiver that you had given my money to somebody else, but that notice was ignored. It wasn't until March 26th when I sent another email to the supervisor and the identified parties saying, I haven't heard anything. It's been over 2 months now. So where is the funds? We all know where they should be, but they're not there. So on March 26th, I sent that response. And then on April 26th, the attorney and I decided that the only course left was to file a lawsuit for payment. Not something I wanted to do. I've been trying to avoid it throughout the process by trying to engage in conversation with everyone and anyone that could resolve the situation, but to no avail. So the lawsuit was filed on April 26th. On October 14th, after much back and forth with the attorneys for the town, my attorney and I agreed on a settlement. I had asked in my lawsuit for what I thought was due, my payment that I had been, misappropriated to another person. I wanted that back. I wanted his legal fees covered. I wanted fees for his filing fees to be covered. And I thought that since if I pay my taxes late, I pay penalties. So I thought I would think that the town would award me interest, simple interest. I'm not looking at double digit, just making me whole for the time that I lost the opportunity to invest those funds. I was told at that point that it would have been probably a 2-year litigation period before I would see those funds. And I said, I can't afford to go without my lump sum for that long a period of time. So I told my attorney, forget about that stuff. I just need my money back. It's not a small amount, and it means a lot. So I settled on that with the idea that once I signed, within 30 days, I would have my check. That was what I was told. I signed on October 14th of 2021. I think you'll see that in the signature on the agreement that you're going to be looking at later tonight. So on October 14th, when I signed it, I was expecting within 30 days to get my funds. Here it is December 1st, and I still don't. So that's why I'm here today. I know you've had at least 3 legislative meetings and 2 board meetings or work sessions since I signed the document. I'm not sure if it was brought up at any of those or not. I think it should have. The agreement, I held it to be, true, legal document that within 30 days I would have my funds. But I don't. So today, that's where we are. That's how I got to here today. So what I'd like to ask is help me understand what happened here. Why the process for identifying, and I don't expect a response today, but why do we use an external agency to tell us we've had duplicate payments? I mean, the vendor that provided the vendor report that was provided to me indicated that there were 2 payments made on my account. How did that vendor know that my attorney had paid that account? So I'm curious as to how that vendor had access to information that my attorney paid the town, unless you told them that the attorney paid it. I really don't know, but that's what the tax receiver, her notes have indicated, that report came from an agency, and she used that to determine who to pay back and how the double payment was made. So I just don't understand how your internal databases can't provide that level of information, that you can catch it a lot quicker than April 22nd. If the taxes are due by January, I have a finance background. I was a CFO in my last job. So I know what it takes to run a financial organization. But I question whether or not maybe the purpose for having internal generated documents versus externally reported information, how that meshes with security and everything else. So help me understand why we have an external agency providing that level of security. And if it happened to me, how many other people have been victimized in the same way? I'm sure that I wasn't the only duplicate payment that was done through that report. And if they were faulty with mine, my fear is that there may be others out there that maybe don't have this, the time on their hands as retirees to pursue the matter. For me, it was a significant amount of money. I'm not sure others would bat an eye at that amount, or maybe others don't have the wherewithal to fight it. But I would question whether or not others may have been victimized in the same way. I hope not. I really do. It's not a fun trip to take. And since the town gave my money to someone else 20 months ago and acknowledged the mistake 13 months ago, why was I ignored in my correspondence, in my request to meet and discuss this before it got to the point where I had to hire an attorney and drag it through the legal process, which limited me in being able to just my goal was, and I know Ms. Lysak would affirm that I just wanted it back. I said, you know where it is, and my issue is not whether or not the person you gave it to gives it back, because that's not my fault. If they don't want to give it back, that's something you have to deal with. But you had my money, you gave it to someone else, you owe it back to me. So I was just curious and trying to understand why that happened. So, help me understand why we couldn't have a correspondence. Why my emails, my phone calls were left unanswered. Why my attorney's pleas with your attorney to communicate were ignored. Is it because the amount wasn't significant enough for you to pursue? I don't know. I can't answer that. But it forced me to take on actions that I really didn't want to do. It's the first and hopefully the only lawsuit I ever have to file in my life. But anyway, my last point is that, as a retiree and a new resident to this community, and having worked on boards and with other agencies, I had a higher level of expectation for competency and courtesy in dealing with elected officials. Having been one for many years, as a school board president, I know what it takes and what the community expects when you get elected to represent them. And I expected at least a level of courtesy of a reply, of a timeliness to address the matter. I got neither. And I don't know if it was an anomaly or the norm. I'm hoping that it was an anomaly, that it was something that I can't explain it. I'll leave it that I hope it was an anomaly. And that's really all I wanted to share tonight. I thank you for your time, for letting me share my story, and I hope the story ends tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I'll ask the clerk, is there anyone else that has signed up?
No, there is not.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board on any matter? I see nothing by way of email, and I've not heard that we have any calls. There is another opportunity at the end of the agenda for public participation. So I'll ask the board, are there additions or deletions to tonight's agenda?
No, sir.
Okay, seeing none. We do have two sets of minutes before us. One from a legislative session on October 20th, 2021. And I'd entertain a motion of approval for that set of minutes.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Supervisor.
Second.
Been moved by Councilperson Ockenden, seconded by Councilperson Cole. I'll ask, is there any discussion on those minutes?
No, sir.
Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Draw.
Aye.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
4 ayes.
The second set of minutes is typically on a work session, but we held a special public hearing on that evening. So on October 27th, 2021, I'd entertain a motion for approval of those minutes.
I'll move those, Mr. Supervisor.
Second.
Moved by Councilperson Draw, seconded by Councilperson Cole. Again, any discussion on those minutes? Okay, seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote of approval, please.
Draw.
Aye.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
4 ayes.
Thank you. We'll move on to petitions. Has the town board, town attorney, or the town clerk received any petitions since our last meeting?
No, sir.
Okay. And we'll move on to resolution by function, starting with law and finance, please.
Authorization for town supervisor to sign and execute a settlement agreement relating to Thomas Wesley.
So moved.
Second.
Now therefore be it resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to sign and execute a settlement agreement relating to Thomas Wesley, satisfying all concerned parties. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion, board? See no further discussion. I'd ask for a roll call vote of approval on this resolution.
Draw.
Aye.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
4 ayes. Authorization for supervisor to sign recreation contracts.
So moved.
Second.
This resolution authorizes the town supervisor to sign 22 recreation contracts, and they're all dealing with the upcoming recreation programs in the new year, and fitness, education, and art. And as I said earlier, registration will take place starting December 13th, but you can register right now online.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, a roll call vote of approval, please.
Draw.
Aye.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
4 ayes.
I'll ask the board, is there any new business to come before the board this evening?
No, sir.
Seeing none, is there any new business to come before the board this evening?
No, sir.
Again, seeing none, this is the next opportunity for public participation. Again, you can do that if you're here in the auditorium. You can call in at 340-8771, or you can log on at penfield.org. And I'll give it a minute, check to make sure we have no emails coming in, and make sure there are no phone calls coming in.
No call.
Thank you very much, David. Seeing no further business to come before the board this evening, the December 1st, 2021 legislative session of the Penfield Town Board will stand adjourned at 7:25 p.m. I'd like to thank everyone that participated. Special thanks to Penfield TV for all their support and making sure that we are broadcasting live out to the residents. Thank you. Be well and be safe.